Welcome back. We now welcome the Honorable Sandra Cabrina Jenkins, who is also seeking your vote for the Louisiana Supreme Court. Judge Jenkins is currently a judge on the Louisiana Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal. She earned her Juris Doctor from Southern University Law Center in 1984. Welcome to the show, Judge Jenkins.
Thank you, John. I'm excited for the opportunity to be here.
Well, good. We're glad you could make it here with us. So we want to make full use of our time, so I'm going to get right to the questions. Okay, you ready? So first question. We would like you to give us a brief summary of your legal education and work experience that you believe has helped prepare you to be an Associate Justice on the Louisiana Supreme Court.
Well, in 1989, when I graduated from law school, my first job offer and only job offer was as an Assistant District Attorney in Orleans Parish. I accepted the job, moved here, and got right to work the Monday after I got sworn in. So my first 3 years of practice was as an Assistant District Attorney in Orleans Parish. I finally made it to trial assistant, meaning that I was the first chair for particular sections of court, tried over 100 cases, jury and judge trial. I served in juvenile court, felony trials, and then finally I ended up in screening. After that, I actually served at the Fourth Circuit as a staff attorney for 5 years. After that, I opened my own practice. So over the 23 years of practice before I was elected, I mastered skills as a trial attorney, an appellate counsel, and now serving for the last 8 years as an appellate court judge, writing opinions, which I'm assuming is over hundreds of civil and criminal law opinions, as well as writ dispositions. So those things qualify me to serve as an Associate Justice.
Okay, well, thank you for providing that insight. My next question, what do you believe sets you apart from the other candidates who are currently running for this same position?
As I mentioned, I practiced law for 23 years prior to election. The bulk of my practice was as a criminal defense attorney. When you look at the Louisiana Supreme Court and many courts, is very seldom you find that a judge came from the criminal defense bar. And that's important because many of the cases that are found in the Louisiana Supreme Court are criminal in nature. So I believe that there has to be diversity in experience, and diversity in experience is what we bring to the table from our practice as lawyers, our personal, our community. All of that is very important in judicial deliberation. So my opponents do not have that background of criminal defense. I'm not sure as prosecutors either. Most of the judges that are elected to the Louisiana Supreme Court come from the civil bench and or civil practitioners. And that's the tradition on the Louisiana Supreme Court. And to me, it does not make sense to continue to stack the court with the same experience that we've had for decades and centuries. And I believe that my background in criminal law as a trial attorney, as an appellate counsel, as a prosecutor is going to be very beneficial to the body of law that I think will continue to be developed with criminal law reform.
Okay, thank you for that answer. That leads me to my next question. Many believe the public's faith in our political institutions, and yes, even our courts and our judges, has gone down considerably in recent times. So what can you tell our viewers and our voters about how you intend to help address this and how you would deal with legal disputes if you are given the opportunity to sit in judgment of them if you are elected to the highest state court in Louisiana?
That's a great question, because if there are several things going on. First of all, over the last couple of years, there have been many headlines about transparency of the Louisiana Supreme Court and discipline of judges. Now we are not just in the middle of a pandemic, but a pandemic of social and racial unrest. So people are crying out for change. People are looking to the criminal justice system for justice. And it's very important that the public feel comfortable with the person that's going to be able to replace Chief Justice Johnson, who's been there for 26 years. Louisiana has 7 districts. There are 6 men currently sitting on the bench, and they're all Republican. I'm a Democrat. And yes, we can talk about partisanship or bipartisanship in our races, but besides the diversity in our parties, you have to look at the fact that Louisiana has had a stain on its reputation as relates to mass incarceration. We had to be one of the last 2 states that the U.S. Supreme Court had to tell us that a 10-2 verdict is not constitutional. And when I follow that particular argument from, I would say, 2013, I had one of my first criminal cases that was assigned to me to write, and that was one of the issues. And in my opinion, I noted that the issues raised are compelling. However, I am bound by our Louisiana Supreme Court. And my thought process when I thought about and read Ramos versus Louisiana, I was quite impressed with how the U.S. Supreme Court went into the history, the legislative history of the statute as to why our state elected to allow a 10-2 verdict and not have a unanimous jury verdict. And it had to do with racism and the systemic racism of that from the centuries and centuries is why the U.S. Supreme Court had to finally tell our court, our state, that no, this is unconstitutional. And I honestly believe that it's easier for me to see issues that I don't mind taking that step and writing a dissent, even though the body of law in our state does not follow, or I'm not following that body of law. And that's okay to write dissents, but you can't write a dissent if you don't have that experience that comes with practicing as a criminal defense attorney, having clients, going to jails, making sure that the livelihood and the well-being of your clients is taken care of. So that also is something that distinguishes me, and hopefully that will help the public have confidence in our criminal justice system.
Thank you for that very detailed answer, but I think it's so important. And just to be sure everybody is understanding some of the lingo you use,
yes.
A 10-2 verdict, that's where in this state, almost unique except for one other state, where people could be sent to prison for the rest of their lives based on a jury verdict of 10 in favor of convicting and 2 being opposed to convicting, whereas in the rest of the country and in federal court,
correct,
you needed a unanimous verdict. And that really was a stain. I like that choice of words there. A stain on our reputation as a state that doesn't treat people the way almost the rest of the country did. Well, I wish we could talk for another 30 minutes about that or more, but let me get to my next question, okay? Because we're starting to run short here. Is there, I'm having a little trouble reading my question on the monitor, but I believe with the limited time remaining, if you could take a minute and tell us anything in particular you would like to tell our voters and viewers that I haven't specifically asked you about.
Well, I'm very excited for the opportunity again. It's been 26 years since there has been a justice to be elected to this position. And this district covers Orleans Parish, Gretna, Harvey, Marrero, and Westwego, not the entire, all of those cities entirely. but it's an opportunity for me to be able to serve at a time when we do have unrest and our judicial system seems to not be as favorably viewed as we would like it to be viewed. I believe that there are 4 to 5 priorities for the Louisiana Supreme Court. Opinion writing is one. Second is discipline of lawyers and discipline of judges. Also the admission of new attorneys. And finally, behavioral health courts. That's something that I'm very passionate about in our community, in our criminal justice system, in our court system, not just criminal court, because we find that there are issues of addictions and things that are affecting our families, and we need to address them as opposed to criminalize it. So behavioral health courts is a great priority for me if I'm elected to serve.
Wonderful. Well, we're just about out of time, but we do have time for this important question. Yes. Would you remind our viewers what your ballot number is and what your website is, how they can find out more about you and your campaign?
Okay, my website is sandrajenkins.com. And if you go to my website, there is a link that says get involved. So if you want to volunteer, if you want a yard sign, or just want to find out any more information about me and my candidacy, you can go straight there. I'm number 48 on the ballot. Again, I'm Sandra Cabrina Jenkins. Thank you.
Judge Jenkins, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show and learn more about you. Unfortunately, that's it. We're out of time. Time runs really quickly.
Yes.
But I'll ask our viewers to please stick around. After another short break, we will be interviewing the Honorable Judge Piper Griffin, and we will be right back. Stick around.